Hi, welcome back to my YouTube channel, Medicate with Movement. I'm so excited that you keep tuning in with me, and I really appreciate it. It's kind of a cloudy, overcast day, a little bit of a heavy feeling around. I've really increased my videos on my YouTube channel for my existing clientele during the coronavirus shelter-in-place time period. And I see that some of my clients who are used to seeing me physically in the studio are having some difficulty creating and building a habit at home for their personal practice, even though we're connecting virtually through telehealth on Zoom, and I'm sending them 5 virtual tools every day and an email. It's still a bit much for them, and I've broken those tools down into little, what I like to call yoga capsules, bite-sized, smaller pieces of things or tools that they can do to help them break up their day, because I know when you feel as though you can't leave your home, there's a lot of anxiety there. So I think these tips really work for this time period that we happen to be in, as well as if you work from home or perhaps your schedule does not allow you to get to see someone physically. I still think these are good habits to get into. So speaking of habits, we are creatures of habit, right? We naturally revert to the past of least resistance. Matter of fact, inside the studio, we would joke a lot about, oh, I'm cheating, right? And it doesn't mean that we're cheaters. It just means that we weren't being present in the moment and we were taking the easy way out. So, you know, those ingrained habitual patterns, even if they aren't serving our greater good, there's some comfort in that unhealthiness of the pattern. And so just being aware of that and recognizing that, and when we recognize that we're there and we can pull ourselves back out, that's actually an act of mindfulness, that's showing growth. The only way to change an existing behavior is to start and make a choice to make that personal practice happen at home. And my clients don't see me every single day in the studio, whether that be virtually or physically speaking. And so everybody needs a personal practice at home, including myself, because you know there are days that I just don't want to get up and go into the studio to practice, right? So I have some things set up at home as well. So you know, you have to create a new behavior, and creating a new behavior is never easy. I like to use the analogy of a rainforest. When we get into densely vegetative states of forests, it's very hard to kind of chop your way and make a new path. And if you're looking over at this well-worn path that maybe some deer have made over there, and you could just get onto that path, I think of the sheep paths too that they used to make in the pastures, it'd be very easy to stay on that path, but perhaps that path isn't serving us. And so we need to create a new one, and that's where it's kind of hard to create a new path, right? And so just giving ourselves some permission. You know, my father will say, willpower, you need willpower. But willpower is a limited resource. It kind of runs dry. It doesn't always stay there at the forefront. And so I've really connected with why power. Why am I doing something? What motivates me right now and connects me to my highest values, my desires, what's going to create a sense of urgency in the moment for me at that period of time in my life. And so I would like to suggest that you pause the video and set a 5-minute timer on your device and write out why. When you write out your why, then I want you to put it in that reminder section of your phone, you know, where you put all your to-do list stuff. We're always putting things that we have to be doing, but do we ever put in some positive affirmations to come up, or some of our whys that will support us positively and changing our behavior? And so I'd like you to think about using that app, whatever you're using, to help support you in this way. I think that what you wrote out for your why, if you put it into some positive affirmations and some reminders, that device, that app will serve you a little better. and it'll be a little easier for you to start this new behavior. So I have 6 things that I want you to think about. One is to pick a specific time, a day and time, that you're going to do your personal practice at home, and tie it to an activity. Maybe it's upon waking or after shower, or finishing your work period of time, or maybe it's lunch. If you can hook your personal practice to a daily activity that you do in life, then you're more apt to actually get it to happen. And then have a backup slot. So if your intention is to do it before breakfast, and something happened and you got to bed late, or the alarm didn't go off like planned, what's your backup plan to do it? So we have to have a little bit of sliding freedom there, not to be so rigid. 2 is to set up your space ahead of time and put it somewhere that you're going to see it and you're going to walk on it. So a lot of times my clients, they love the foam roller, which if you haven't seen some of my foam roller stuff, head over to the Trigger Point playlist and you'll see some things there. But it's the most used homework tool out of my clients. And inevitably, they'll have it out because I tell them, you could do this during TV time, right? So it'll be in the living room and company comes and they hide it quick because they don't want it to be out and seen. Then they forget about it. And sometimes it's 30 days, 3 months before they realize that they had put it in this closet or hid it behind the couch. And then they have to have a new relationship, build a new habit with it. So the same thing goes with your mat. If I didn't have a little space set up, sometimes it's hard to roll that mat out. And that's just the hard decision to do, let alone get on it. But if it's already there, it's really easy to step on it. And once you step on it, then some things will start to happen, right? 3, put your clothes on ahead of time. Some of my clients say they sleep in something that they can work out in. So some pajamas that can double as workout clothes. Some clients will wear something underneath, maybe a dress, but they can then take the dress off, work out, put the dress back on, go back to work, things of that nature. So really think about what you can do to save yourself some time there. And then have a plan. What are you going to do for practice? It doesn't have to be so rigid. I want you to really connect to your why power. So my dad taught me this trick. Sometimes we procrastinate, we don't want to start something, but tell yourself you're going to do it for just 5 minutes or 15 minutes. And then if you still want an out, you can have an out at that point. But most of the time, as my dad was very wise, he's now 80, if I do that 5 minutes or 15 minutes, it turns into 45 minutes to an hour with ease. It's just giving yourself permission, not being so rigid at the start to get yourself going. And then 5, minimize distractions. So identify activities that are going to get in your way. They're going to be your obstacles. And then put some barriers in front of those habitual patterns. So maybe, for example, there's a note on your remote control that says, hey, this was your why power, and I need you to not turn it on for 15 minutes. Maybe it's on your medicine cabinet, right? So just kind of put some notes and place them that will help relieve some of those barriers for you. Get creative, think about what you can do. And the last tip that I want to give you is make conscious choices. So you have to ask yourself, if you're leaning towards skipping your practice, is it important for you to watch another 15 minutes of Netflix or spend 15 minutes of movement on your mat? And what gets you closer to that why power intention? A simple movement practice goes a long way, no matter what it is. Sometimes it's restorative, sometimes it's breathing, sometimes it's meditation, sometimes it's all of the above. Whatever it is, a little bit goes a long way. And so take some time to get connected to your why power, to pre-think those 6 tips out so that you have to use less physical and mental effort to get going and get started on your practice. And sometimes not having that rigid practice, sometimes it's just deciding which of the 5 tools that Kim sent me am I going to do right now? or we've made a practice together. I don't want to do the whole practice, but what are the top 3 poses that speak to me right now when I look at my stick figure drawing that I want to do? Or what's the one thing on Kim's YouTube channel that I want to try today? And just give yourself permission to do that. Thank you so much for supporting my life's passion. I'm grateful for you always.